Hello, and welcome back to the Geeky Boomer, where women and tech connects. I am Pixel Pia, your host, and after a couple of weeks of a break, I am ready to restart this podcast with its new direction. In today's episode, we are diving deep into the world of online threats, but with a focus on online threats towards women and how women can navigate the digital landscape safely is a question we will try to answer in today's and the next episode. So let me start by saying that today we are talking about a very heavy topic. I will be mentioning things like sexual harassment, stalking, and similar topics. So if that is something that will trigger you in any way, I suggest you skip this episode and come back next week where we will talk about how we can create safe spaces for women online. And with that said, let's jump into today's topic. Online harassment and violence against women is a growing problem, and women are more likely than men to report having been sexually harassed online or stalked. So let us start taking a look at some statistics. I will have a link in the description to a document where you can find all the resources that I have used for this research. 16% of all women in the US have been sexually harassed online compared to 5% of men. And 13% of women in the US have been stalked online compared to 9% of men. 33%, 1 in 3 women under the age of 35 in the US have been sexually harassed online, while 11% of men in the same age group have been harassed. 73% of women worldwide face abuse online. 58% of women in 51 countries have personally experienced online harassment. 50% of girls said they experience more online harassment than street harassment, and 46% of women had experienced online abuse or harassment. These statistics really show how common online harassment and violence against women are, and the need for addressing the issue. Cyber violence against women take many forms, and let's take a closer look at some of them and what they are. First, we have cyber stalking, which is repeated unwanted contact or harassment through electronic communication, such as email, social media, or text messaging. Then we have non-consensual pornography or revenge porn, which is the distribution of sexually explicit images or videos without the consent of the person depicted. We have gender-based slur, hate speech, and harassment, which is the use of derogatory language or behavior that target a person based on the gender. Then we have slut shaming, which is the act of criticizing or shaming a woman for her sexual behavior or appearance. Unsolicited pornography, which is the sending of sexually explicit images or videos without the recipient's consent, what we often call dick pics. Sextortion, within quotes, is the use of threats or coercion to obtain sexual images or videos from a person. Rape threats or death threats is the use of threats of sexual assault, or violence to intimidate or control a person. And lastly, electronically facilitated trafficking, which is the use of technology to facilitate human trafficking, such as through online recruitment or advertising. All these forms of cyber violence will have significant negative impact on women, and it is important to stand up against cyber violence in any form, especially against women, and to develop digital tools to prevent and respond to gender-based violence. Among the negative effects this can have on women, we have curtailing the rights to freedom of expression. Women may feel silenced or intimidated by online abuse, which can limit their ability to express themselves, lowering their confidence and self-esteem. Women who experience cyber violence may feel less confident and have lower self-esteem, which can impact their personal and professional life. It can also limiting their access to education and employment opportunities. Women who experience cyber violence may be less likely to pursue education or employment opportunities due to the fear of further abuse or harassment. It's creating a digital gender gap. Women are less likely to have access to the internet than men, which can limit their ability to participate in the digital economy and access information and services. It is exposing them to sexual harassment and abuse. Women are more likely than men to experience sexual harassment and abuse online, which can be traumatic and have long-lasting effects. And it can preventing them from advance in the STEM fields. Online violence is among the leading causes of the gender digital divide globally, preventing women and girls from advancing in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is STEM, and of course affecting their mental health. Women who experience cyber violence may be at increased risk of depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. It also may put them in risk of physical violence. Cyber violence can be a precursor to physical violence, and women who experience online abuse may be at risk of physical harm. These consequences highlight the need for actions to address cyber violence against women and ensure that the internet is a safe and empowering space for everyone. Cyber violence against women is a serious issue that violates women's rights and hampers their full realization of gender equality. And here are some legal consequences for cyber violence against women. Under the Istanbul Convention, perpetrators should be duly prosecuted and sanctioned. Cyber violence against women should be covered by criminal law and should not remain unpunished. The EU study identifies 9 areas of online abuse that are punishable by law, including stalking, extortion, intimidation, harassment, gender-based hate speech, and revenge porn. In some countries, there are specific laws that criminalize certain forms of cyber violence against women, such as revenge porn. But there are not enough. At least here in the US, victims of cyber violence can seek legal resources through civil lawsuits, such as suing for damages and seeking restraining orders. It is important to note that cyber violence against women is a relatively new and growing phenomenon, and laws and policies are still evolving to address the issue. However, it is crucial to ensure that cyber violence against women is taken seriously and that perpetrators are held accountable for their action. As we navigate the digital world, it is crucial to adopt strategies that enhance our safety. Cybersecurity experts consistently emphasizes the need for proactive measures. And here are some key recommendations. Maintain as much anonymity as possible. Use pseudonyms and avoid sharing identifiable details. Be aware of the information you leave online. Regularly search your name to monitor your digital footprint. Use complex passwords and a reliable password manager. Change password periodically and never reuse them across different sites. Keep your social media privacy settings checked and update to control who sees your information. Invest in good antivirus and anti-spyware programs. These are your first line of defense against malicious attacks. Keep all software up to date to protect against the latest threats. And a virtual privacy network, VPN, is essential, especially on public networks, to encrypt your data and mask your online presence. If harassment occurs, take immediate action. Document everything. Keep records of all interactions. They could be crucial for reporting and legal processing. Take screenshots. Save all records in a safe place. Report. Use the reporting tools provided by social media platforms and websites. And consider consulting with a legal expert to explore your options for recourse. And let me mention some resources for women in the US facing harassment. All the links to these will be in the description as well. We have the National Online Resource Center on Violence Against Women, which provide extensive information and support services. The Safety Net Project. They focus on the intersection of technology and domestic violence, stalking, sexual assault, and dating violence. And then we have Cyber Civil Rights Initiative. They offer a crisis helpline specifically for victims of non-consensual pornography. You can visit the CCRI Safety Center online or contact the CCRI Image Abuse Helpline, and the phone number will also be in the description. This is a free of charge 24/7 phone line. The Cyber Civil Rights Initiative also offers additional resources and legal information. And of course we have local support. Local women's shelter, legal aid clinics and law enforcement can provide immediate and personalized assistance. So now let's talk about some best practices for women to stay safe online. Keep personal information private. Women should avoid sharing their phone number, home address, or any other sensitive information that could put them in danger. Use strong passwords. And with strong passwords, they should be unique for each social media platform and each account you have. And they should use a combination of upper and lower case letters, numbers, and symbols. Enable two-factor authentication. Women should enable two-factor authentication whenever it is possible as an extra layer of security. And in a short while, I will show you exactly how you can do that. Keep devices and software up to date. It's important to keep your devices and software up to date to ensure that they have the latest security patches that protect against known vulnerabilities. Familiarize yourself with privacy settings. Go through the privacy settings of your social media account, your computer, your phone, your tablet, and adjust them to limit the information visible to the public. Be mindful of what you share online. Avoid to post photos or videos that reveal too much information about your location, your daily routines, or your personal life. Block and report harassers. Don't hesitate. If someone is harassing you and won't stop, block that person and report it. Use a VPN, a virtual private network, especially if you are using a public Wi-Fi, to protect your data from hackers. And if you, after all we have discussed, decide to meet someone that you got to know online, don't do that alone. Bring a friend with you, someone you trust, and meet in a public place. And when it comes to our webcam, maybe you have used it and you turn it off and you think it's off. There is ways for the hackers or others to break into your webcam. So make sure you use a webcam cover every time you don't use your webcam. This will prevent hackers from not from accessing your camera maybe, but from seeing anything through your camera. By following these best practices, at least you can help to protect yourself from online threats and stay safe while using the internet. And now let me share a little lesson for you about how to use two-factor authentication. Today, I want to show you how you can use two-factor authentication, or 2FA, to make your life online a little bit more safe and secure. But what is 2FA? Well, it is an added layer when you log in to an account. The first factor is your ID and your password, and you can have your account set up using only that. With two-factor authentication, you add a second layer. There are different levels of 2FA you can use. The simplest, but not the safest, is to have it set to email or text message, or what you sometimes see being called push notification. That just means that when you try to log into your account, you get sent either an email or a text message that says, "Is this you trying to log into this account? Click this link," or your answer yes on your phone. To make it a little bit more secure, you can use a third-party two-factor authentication app. And there are many out there. But choose wisely. I am using a two-factor authentication app called Authy. Two things to think about. Make sure you have some kind of login to the app itself to make the app more secure. And make sure you have some kind of backup. There is another level of security you can choose, and that is by using a physical key. This looks like a little USB key that you have and physically put into either your cell phone or your computer, and it has to be present for the authentication to work. I don't use that because many of the accounts where I am logged in don't have this enabled. And talking about what accounts that uses two-factor authentication, I found an interesting website that I want to share with you right now. Here we are. at 2fa.directory, and in this case I am in the region United States, but you can also search global or in any of these countries. What this is a website that shows you in different categories, as you can see, what accounts that use two-factor authentication and at what level. So I can either go into a specific area here like banking, or I can search for something that I want to know if they have 2FA. But let's take a look at banking. You would think that banking online had all kinds of secure message. But if we look here, we have SMS, that's the text message, phone call, email, hardware token is this physical key that you use, or software token, that is when you use an app on your phone or on your computer. So if it's green, they have some kind of 2FA. The first one here just have by text message. And if you go down, Bank of America, for example, have text message, email, and the physical key to choose from. So how do you go about to set it up? Well, first of all, if you want to use your authentication app on your phone, you have to find an app that you think will suit your needs. In my case, I chose an app called Authy. So after you have downloaded your app on your phone, you go to this. If it is a social media account, you go to your account. And in this case, I have, before I started filming, taken off my two-factor authentication for my Facebook account, just so I can show you. So here we are. I go up to my account, setting and privacy. I go into settings and go to security and log in. And down, halfway down, we have two-factor authentication. Next to that, use two-factor authentication, we have edit. So I click edit. We can use 3 methods on Facebook. I can use to receive a text message. I can use a physical security key, one of the few social media accounts that have that. Or I can use an authentication app. And that is what I recommend you do. So all I have to do to set it up is use authentication app. It opens a window with a QR code and a longer authentication code that I can use. In some social media apps, you will see that you might not have the QR function. You have to add them manually, as it is called. Then you copy this long series of numbers and letters and paste it into your authentication app. My authentication app has the possibility to use the QR code. So all I have to do now is to take my phone and click add account, and it says scan QR code. So I hold my phone up towards the screen, click scan QR code, and as soon as it finds it, it adds it to my phone. I will have my phone screen up here as well. And as you can see, with this specific app, it added the logo. It entered my account nickname, and I click save. Now it shows a code here. And the first time you do this, you have to click continue. Some apps say next. And then you have to add the code you got on your app and click continue again. And now it says two-factor authentication is on. So I just click done. And here you can see it shows that I have using an authentication app. And under manage, I can turn it off or I can add a new app. So how do I use this now? So let's go to my Discord here and see how it looks when I log in here. I need to put in my ID and my password and hit login. Welcome back. Now it's asking me for my two-factor authentication code. So I look it up here on my screen, and as you see down there at the bottom, it's counting down time. It shows each code for 30 seconds. And let's wait. It switched. Now I have 30 seconds to put in this specific code into my Discord here. So there we go. And I am logged in. As I said, each code is available for 30 seconds. And you have some kind of timer on all different apps. If you are close to the end, just wait until it switches. This way, there is always a new code each time you try to log in to one of your accounts. I hope this will help you be a little bit safer when you are online. And in this section of the podcast episode, I would usually share some of your comments or stories that you have shared with me. But since this is the first episode after the relaunch, I don't have anything to share. But if you have a question about what we talked about today, or maybe a story you would like to share and you can be anonymous, you can post that either in the comment section of this video or on my website, thegeekyboomer.com. I have a form set up under contacts where you can send that information to me. And of course, you can be anonymous if you want to. And I will try and share stories about this topic in my next episode. So instead of sharing your experiences today, let's try and summarize today's episode. This wasn't a joyful topic, but an important one. I think it's important to create an environment online where everybody feels safe, but especially for women. This affects not just the individual woman. It is a global problem that very much affects gender equality. If we can't get a handle on these questions, we will hinder girls when it comes to education and job opportunity. There is importance in that we all be active in any way we can to address this problem. It's important that women support women in this. And in my next episode, I will talk about safe communities for women, safe online communities for women, where we can get support or where we can mentor each other and lift each other up. That episode will be so much more inspiring and uplifting than today, but I felt that it was necessary to define the problem and take a look at the statistic before we start talking about possible solutions. So if you are interested in learning more about positive, secure, safe communities for women, I suggest that you subscribe to the channel and maybe even hit the little bell so you get notified on that when I upload that episode. And remember, you can always find me either using my website, The Geeky Boomer. I am still working on getting a forum set up, but you can always contact me from there as Pixel Pia at thegeekyboomer.com if you want to email me. You can find me on X or Twitter as The Geeky Boomer, and you can find me on LinkedIn as Pixel Pia. And you can always leave a comment on this video.